Hi, so today we're going to be taking a look at a question from chapter 11, section 3. In particular, it's going to be finding the angle theta between the two vectors in the radians form and the degrees form, and then round your radians answer to 3 decimal places and round your degrees to 1 decimal place. And the vectors that they did give us were vector u is equal to 8i plus j, which can be rewritten as just the vector 8 to 1 because the 1 is there in front of the j even though we don't see it. And then they gave us the vector v, which is negative 7i plus 9j, and I just rewrote that as vector negative 7, 9. And in order to find that degree angle, we're going to be using one specific formula, and that's going to be the vector u with dot product with the vector v over the magnitudes of u times the magnitudes of v. I'll put an x there so we don't confuse the dot product with the multiplication. And then that will equal the cosine of theta. So this is a multi-step equation. First we're going to have to solve for the magnitudes of both vectors, and then we're going to have to solve for that cross product of the vectors. So first let's I'll do the cross product first because that's going to take us the most time. So we got u times v, okay? And the cross product is when you take the x1 times the the x2 and then you add y1 times y2. So it's going to take so we're just going to fully break it down, and it's going to be 8 times negative 7 plus 1 times 9. So 8 times negative 7 is going to be negative 56, and 9 times 1 is going to be 9. So when you add those two together, you get negative 47. So that's going to be our cross product of these two vectors. It's going to be negative 47. So now we do have this part, which is going to be negative 47, and so we're going to then have to solve for the cross product, or not the cross product, the magnitudes. That's why we remember why we put the x there, so we won't confuse the cross product for multiplication. Okay, so then we find the magnitude of u, which is just going to be the square root of 8 squared plus 1 squared, which comes out to be radical 65, because 8 squared is 64, and then 1 squared is just 1, so we just add the 1. And then the magnitude of v is going to be negative 7, 7 squared plus 9 squared, which is going to give us, so that 7 is going to become a positive because you do square root the negative, so it's going to give us radical 130. So if we take a look, now that we have the magnitudes as well as the, what was I thinking? The cross product, we can go ahead and just plug those both in. So we have, then we have radical 65 times radical 130 is equal to the cosine of theta. Okay, so when we multiply those two values together, we get 91.9238. And I just typed that into my calculator just to figure it out. So remember, the first step is to find the radians. So you want to make sure your calculator is in radian mode, and so we just multiply by, or we take the inverse of the cosine to get rid of the cosine on the side, and get the theta by itself. So theta is just going to be equal to cosine, or arc cosine of negative 47 over 91.9238. Okay? Make sure, like I said, remember that it is in radian mode, because if you have it in degrees, it's going to give you the wrong answer. And this is going to give you 2.107485029. And so we would just round it to the 3 decimals, so it just becomes 2.107485029. 2.107 radians. And keep in mind, though, we're still not done, even after we did all of that, because we still have to convert those 2.107 radians to degrees. So then, quick way to do that is you take the radians and you multiply it by 108 over pi. And that will give you the degrees. And so the degrees comes out to be 120 degrees, 0.7 degrees. And that's going to be your answer. It's going to be that as well as that. Thank you.